Elon Musk's ambitious plan to cut government spending. Elon Musk recently set his sights on an ambitious goal, slashing $2 trillion from government spending. To put that figure into perspective, consider this. The U.S. government spent an astounding $6.75 trillion in the last fiscal year. That's like walking through a crowded neighborhood, handing out $20,000 to every person you see, and repeating the process across the entire nation of 337 million Americans. It's a staggering amount of money. Musk's mission comes as he partners with Vivek Ramaswamy, who founded a biotech company, in a new initiative established by President-elect Donald Trump. This initiative, dubbed the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE for short, aims to identify and implement cuts in government spending. However, it's important to note that DOGE will function independently of the government and won't have any decision-making authority. The complexity of navigating government budgeting isn't lost on Musk. While he envisions cutting at least $2 trillion, it remains unclear whether this reduction would occur annually or over a more extended timeline. One notable aspect of U.S. fiscal policy is that Congress traditionally has control over spending, not the president. President Trump has indicated a desire to shift this balance of power, which adds another layer of complexity to Musk's proposal. A significant portion of U.S. spending is categorized as mandatory, meaning it will incur costs regardless of Congress's decisions each year. For instance, healthcare programs and retirement benefits account for a considerable share of the budget. According to recent estimates from the Congressional Budget Office, Social Security benefits alone cost around $1.45 trillion last year, with Medicare and Medicaid consuming nearly $1.49 trillion combined. Interestingly, Trump has pledged to protect crucial programs like Social Security and Medicare. Nevertheless, Medicaid might find itself on the chopping block, a move that could be politically contentious. For instance, recent estimates suggest that a considerable proportion of Medicaid benefits, 56% in fiscal 2024, will support the elderly, disabled, and blind. Many nursing homes depend heavily on this funding stream, making cuts potentially controversial and difficult to implement. The trajectory of mandatory spending is on the rise, largely driven by increasing healthcare costs and a growing number of retirees depending on Social Security and Medicare. This trend is stark, with mandatory spending consuming nearly 15% of the U.S. GDP last year, in contrast to about 10% 2 decades ago. Without significant policy changes, these financial obligations are expected to escalate even further in the coming years. Beyond the major programs, there are smaller mandatory expenditures, including retirement benefits for military and federal employees, as well as state support for foster care and adoption services. With so many intertwined factors, Musk's ambitious vision for massive spending cuts presents a challenging puzzle that policymakers will need to tackle head-on. In an era defined by robust debates over fiscal responsibility and government efficiency, Musk's proposed cuts strike at the heart of long-standing programs that provide essential services to millions of Americans. As discussions continue, the question remains, can Musk's vision of reducing government expenditures become a reality, or will the complexities of existing commitments prove too hard to overcome? Stay tuned as this financial saga unfolds. As we delve deeper into the federal budget, it's essential to highlight the intricacies of discretionary spending. This is the portion of the budget that Congress votes on annually, and it has 2 significant categories: defense and non-defense discretionary spending. Let's start with defense. The estimated expenditure on defense for the past year stood around $850 billion. This includes a wide range of expenses, from maintaining bases and equipment to purchasing everything from aircraft carriers to ensuring our brave military personnel are well fed with quality meals. This amount directly supports nearly 1.4 million uniformed military members, illustrating the substantial financial commitment the nation makes to its defense forces every year. On the other side, we have non-defense discretionary spending, which is anticipated to be about $950 billion. This category covers a vast array of programs crucial to the country's infrastructure and social safety nets, such as funding for NASA, agricultural assistance, and housing programs, to name just a few. These expenditures aim to improve the lives of everyday Americans and support key governmental functions. Awareness around cutting government spending often revolves around these non-defense discretionary items. However, it's intriguing to note that they make up only about 14 cents of every dollar spent by the U.S. government in the past year. This fact raises questions about the effectiveness of targeting these areas for cuts when the bulk of the budget is allocated elsewhere. Prominent figures like Musk and Ramaswamy suggest that significant savings could be achieved by reducing the number of federal employees. However, the reality is that federal employee pay constitutes only a small fraction of total government spending. For context, the estimated pay and benefits for federal employees reached a staggering $384 billion last year, according to the Office of Management and Budget. This figure encompasses everyone from high-ranking officials like the president to dedicated staff like air traffic controllers and park rangers. When military personnel are included, the total costs associated with federal employees climb to approximately $584 billion. With around 2.3 million people employed in civilian roles within the federal government, excluding the Postal Service, it's essential to consider the diverse range of services and contributions these individuals provide to the nation. Notably, around 1/5 of them work for Veterans Affairs, ensuring our veterans receive the care they deserve. A significant portion of the federal budget also flows toward benefits that directly support individual Americans. Approximately 73 million people receive monthly benefits from the Social Security Administration, ranging from retirement payouts to disability support. Additionally, about 68 million Americans are enrolled in Medicare, while 72 million rely on Medicaid, underlining the crucial role these programs play in providing income support to vulnerable communities across the United States. Furthermore, it's imperative to acknowledge the vast expenditures on goods and services that stem from government contracts. For instance, companies that manufacture components for military aircraft greatly benefit from government spending. Likewise, landlords who accept tenants receiving housing assistance, farmers receiving subsidies, and universities engaging in federally funded research are all part of this ecosystem. In summary, the federal budget is a complex tapestry woven from various spending categories, each vital in supporting the nation's infrastructure and its citizens. Understanding the nuances of discretionary versus mandatory spending, as well as the broader implications of cuts, is crucial as we consider the future of government expenditures in the face of changing priorities. As discussions surrounding fiscal responsibility continue, we'll keep an eye on how these dynamics evolve. Despite the significant spending by the U.S. government, American tax dollars alone don't cover it all. In fact, a substantial portion is funded through debt. This past year, government receipts, encompassing individual income taxes, payroll taxes, and corporate taxes, totaled $4.92 trillion. The government spent $6.75 trillion, leaving a budget deficit of $1.83 trillion. To put it in perspective, that's about 6.4% of the U.S. GDP. Historically, this deficit-to-GDP ratio has reached higher levels, particularly during times of crisis like World War II or economic downturns when government support was critical. During the pandemic, for instance, that ratio ballooned to nearly 15%. The CBO predicts that mandatory spending will increase by over $2 trillion in the next decade, making it essential to address potential challenges ahead, especially as net interest payments are expected to double. As we navigate these financial waters, understanding the balance between government income and expenditures becomes crucial. It may raise questions about fiscal sustainability and the implications for economic stability moving forward. As we keep our eyes on these developments, your perspective on government financial strategies becomes all the more relevant. The conversation on fiscal responsibility is just beginning, and your engagement in this discourse is vital. Stay informed and connected as we continue to explore the implications of these financial trends on our economy and society.